Good evening. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here, and Spencer on the switchboard as normal. Welcome, everybody, once again. How's it going, Adam?
I'm all right, man. It's been a busy day, but I'm all right.
Pick on you. I won't pick on you today, then.
Pick on whatever you want. You're miserable as a toothache, so I'll have fun.
I am. It's all right. I'll save it for off air. But I'm sure we'll get into it at some point. I don't know. So we're going to kill a bit of time here. We're going to jump into some of the pavement stuff here in Ontario, I think, first. We do have Doug Leonard coming on, who was part of the big Dirt Week team that put Super Dirt Week together at Oswego. And, of course, that was a crazy situation, Adam. You and I have been to Dirt Week a lot. Get ready because we're going to want opinions. We have a lot of opinions on everything from anthems to finish to track conditions to should there have been penalties. I don't know. Craziness. Anything you want to prelude in with that?
Only that this is nothing new. We're about to rehash discussions, conversations that have been had for 30 years at Super Dirt Week. Shitty track conditions, poor choices, bad weather, bad performances.
Yeah, when you put it that way, you're not wrong. I think there's a lot of things that we've had to complain about, but just like the crazy uncle that you like most of the year, but when you actually have to spend some time with them, you realize it can't be as great all the time. It's Super Dirt Week, and we love it. And but they had a trying time down there. Doug's going to give us the impression from the tower and what the officials were going through as they watched this track unfold. And Doug's hands are tied. It's not his department, but he still has to deal with all the cautions and has to work probably triple overtime on the weekend. And we'll talk with Doug about what it was like to be watching that all unfold below him, as they have some pretty wild seats, the tower there at, Oswego. They kind of run right underneath you, almost like it was at Syracuse. Same thing for the officials, tough spot to see. But then we also sent a shout out to Matt Williamson. I'm hoping to get Matt on the show. I got to talk to Matt a bit today, Adam. He's super tied up. They're trying to get ready for Port Royal. He said he already had to turn down 2 other talk shows today just to keep the car in order. So I just sent the link last minute and kind of guilted him in and said, hey, Matt, come on, man. We're going to be on for next hour. If you can find it in your time to give us 5 minutes, jump on. We'd love to talk to you after the week we had. So we'll wait and see if Matt joins us. And if he does, we'll talk about his the week he had. If you're not up to speed on it, quite a dominant cash raking and performance. And we'll talk to Matt, hopefully. And if we don't, we will talk about Matt. All right. All Canadian, not all Canadian. Autumn Colors Classic, ACC just made me think of that. All Autumn Colors Classic at Peterborough. It's an event I've never been to. We did have our camera crew there to catch it as a J-Force light, so we're excited to see that come out later on in the week, likely Friday. Here's a couple clips of the action that we caught. So if you're a Peterborough or basically a pavement fan here in Ontario, it was the last big race, Adam.
Bring a seat cushion because you're going to be there for a long, long time. You'll get your fill of racing. You'll see every different kind of racing you can possibly imagine. I haven't been there in over 20 years, Clinton. The last time I was there, I raced in it. So it's a lifetime ago.
I mean, it makes total sense to me why you would pack all those divisions in. I mean, as a fan, you know what you're getting. It's the season finale here in Ontario for most places. I mean, if Frosttoberfest didn't get postponed, we would be, this would be the last big event, the last hurrah in Ontario, so to speak. So kind of like what Brockville has come up this weekend. So, I don't think anybody is shocked that it's a long day. I mean, we told Spencer that too. It started at noon and went till about, 8, 9, and looks like there were some interesting shenanigans going on. So I can't wait to watch this G-Force Light production and all the stuff we caught there on Sunday.
Yeah, it's the place you go to finish your season. That's just how it is. Wow, someone getting the best of Dan McCaddy, he'll get you back. He knows how, that's for sure. He's an old school fellow. He is. It looked like they had a great crowd. Weather was up and down throughout the weekend, Clinton, and so good for JP and his team up there.
Yeah, it looked like, I was just going to remark on that too. I was going to say, it looked like they had it all together. A lot of good car counts, a great fan count there from what we can tell. And obviously, if you're a pavement fan, it's the last big camping hurrah to go out and kick it down. So that's exciting to have that. I heard the racing was great. I heard there was some drama. Everything you could ask for from an event like that. So as you said, congrats to JP and their team, and keep up the good work. Frosttoberfest is coming up. Spencer, I sent you that picture. Mike Schmidt and his team and everybody at Flamborough, Adam, we give a lot of credit to Mike for sponsoring it, but he just goes above and beyond, make sure they got the big checks, make sure they've got the igloos, make sure they've got the trophies all together. And Frosttoberfest this weekend, your thoughts on moving that back a little bit?
Again, that's pretty much tradition, right? It quite often weather is nasty. I think if the race goes on Saturday, I'm going to wind up announcing it because Gary Calling is going to race direct. And if the race goes Sunday, I'm fired.
Well, he could race direct and let Gary still announce.
I wouldn't. I don't mind. I don't mind race directing. It's been a while, but whatever.
Not my cup of tea. There's a look at it. Mike Schmidt posted this about an hour or two ago. This weekend will be the last time in 2021 to watch the super late models, pro late models, super stocks in Ontario, pure stocks racing, also for the biggest purse of the year. It all happens at Flamborough Speedway this Saturday or Sunday, as they're already looking toward the weather. Wicked Hardware, and it's on the line. Hope to see you there. Some great hand-carved, art there on the line in the form of the igloos that they give away every year. Some cool checks and a lot of money on the line. So hopefully everybody goes out and supports the Caselli family in Flamborough. They've always been good to us over the year, Adam. If I had to pick a home track for you, I would say Flamborough, right?
Oh, I'd say so. And I'm just looking at a comment from Doug Erskine. Did you get the video I sent that Nick Erskine had sent to me from Buxton?
Yeah, it's our Burger Barn video of the week. We can jump to that in 1 minute.
No rush. Yeah, no rush at all. I just meant to think about it because the question was, awkward segue, how do officials score a race? Is it transponder only, or do you visually score the race? And I said, my opinion is you visually score the race. Transponders give you a pretty darn good idea, but at the line, it's the driver that's ahead.
Ooh, I was gonna wait till we got to Doug to have that argument, but that's a heck of a discussion. First off, let's wrap up Frosttoberfest. Make sure we give it all its proper dues, and then we'll jump into the argument because I think that's something we can definitely fight about. I've been in the middle of this situation a few times at Weekend with Doug. We've had to untangle that web a couple times. You bring up an interesting topic, but all right, let's go back to it. Frosttoberfest. Anything else we need to say other than support it? Go out there. It's going to be some great racing. The place looks amazing. It's put on some fantastic action for us on G-Force this summer and last. So if you had a chance, go out and check it out. Anything else we should know about Frosttoberfest?
No, go out and support it. It's been a good year. Flamborough would be great to have a good finish.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think. Hold on, let me look at the rundown here and see if there's anything else we want to cover before, because that's a very good argument that I think we should maybe even hold for Doug, because he's had to help me fix this one up for a while. Spencer, let's jump ahead a little bit in the rundown. Let's go to the Crowd Pleaser Award, which is way down at the bottom. It's the picture of Dylan Westbrook, Adam, and why I brought this up. And are you okay if we hold that for Doug? Because I think he has a great perspective on this situation too, and he's going to have a third opinion on how you should be officiating that race. And we do have the video of it, so we'll show the video and have a full discussion on that as well.
Let's very quickly, with no opinion, just your answer, and then we'll have the conversation when Doug comes on. The scored finish is how they cross the line, looking at the cars crossing the line.
Yeah, my opinion is if you're going to go with the computer trumps everything. And I think Doug's going to back that up, and we'll talk about that's why measurements on where it is in the car, and that was also brought up in the comments here, that they felt the transponder was in the wrong place, and that's why we have rules on transponder locations, and that brings up a whole messy discussion, but I'm well-versed on it, and I'm ready to jump into it with you, Adam, because I can see your side of it being visual, but I'm saying if you're going off everything else, you got to go off location. All right? But we do have the video. Do you want to watch the video and let people make their opinions, and we'll come back to it?
Yeah, let's do it. The other thing to remember is not all tracks have the scoring line at the start finish line.
That's a whole other discussion we can talk about too, and I'll let you guys in on maybe
Right?
some inside business that I'm aware of at a local track around here that it is not equal at all. And maybe if you can bribe me and guess what track it is and pay me a couple cheeseburgers, I'll tell you how, if it's a close race, to always win, because this track goes off transponders and you'll beat it every time. It's a flaw in the design, but we'll talk about that too. So much good stuff. Spencer, do you have the video? It was our Burger Barn video of the week. It was the finish of the mini stocks of the Erskines from Southern Ontario Speedway. Just roll it as I'm talking if you have it, and we'll jump into it. This is a 1-minute TikTok video that the Erskines shared. Who's the leader? So Erskine's the 64. Adam, help us commentate this.
I haven't really watched it. I received it. And this is what I do. I get stuff, Clinton. I send it right to the chat.
All right, let's watch it. I watched it. So this is the last lap. Erskine is on the inside in the 64, classic Erskine colors. This is the Bolio, I think is Bolo is the car on the outside. And we're going to decide who's the winner. Nice drive. Throw it in there, Nicky.
I have no idea.
Wow.
Well, obviously Nick's the winner visually in that one, right? Can you even say it? That's
no, according to you.
I asked you a direct question.
Visually.
Don't twist it. Answer the question. Visually, I'm siding with you. Visually, he's clearly the winner, correct?
In every conceivable way, Nick Erskine won that race.
Okay. We'll talk about transponder locations and such in a couple minutes when we get back to that one. But that was good. You guys let us know what your thoughts are. Obviously, if the transponder's in the right spot, Nick is still going to be the winner all day long. If the transponder's in the wrong spot, it's
right.
going to screw everything up.
A very important part of your racing process is everybody's transponders being in the same position.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going to run special events.
Yeah, if we're going to talk, we can just talk about that. That's basically what it comes down to. So at Oshweekend, I don't know what Doug's margin is, but if it's within a certain margin that's super close at the line, Doug, I've heard him on probably 15 different occasions in the last 5 years, call those cars into tech to have their transponders measured as to where they are in relation. And typically it's off of the rear axle, the center line of the rear axle on the car is where it is. And they say, well, why do you have that? You could get into sticky situations where especially in mini stocks, where there's so many different variations of wheelbases and lengths and makes and models, a long snouted mini stock could appear to win the race, even if the transponder says they don't. And here's where it comes back to. Are we doing time trials off of transponders or visually off the nose? Are we going to use it when it comes down to it? And this is why we have the transponder, because it takes the judgment calls out of it in close events like that. And when it's to the thousandth of an inch, it takes it down to it and it makes the decision. It's not, and that's why it has to be in the right location.
So if you allow your transponders to give you a wrong winner, I think that makes you a weakened race promoter.
Okay, let me put it to you another way.
Let me put it to you another way. The car that crosses the finish line first is the winner. If they've completed all the laps, they still have to go through tech. It's not a timed race. These aren't.
Okay, so let me put it to you the other way. Do we have to change the rules to say the transponder that crosses the line first is the winner, not the car? Because that's exactly what we're going off. So what I'm saying is, if the transponder is in the exact so Twitch it put it up there. ODCC rules, which govern the tracks around here, they say the transponder has to be 18 inches behind the center of the rear axle. So if both cars in that clip have the transponder 18 inches behind the center of the rear axle, the other car is still the winner if the transponder says it, even if Nick is 6 inches ahead by the bumper.
Okay. Where do you put the transponder, on the right side of the car or the left side of the car?
Typically, it would be right rear, 18 inches behind the axle.
So two cars coming off of turn number 4. crash into each other, side by side, coming to the line. They both spin in opposite directions. Car on the outside clearly crosses the line first, spinning out, but the car on the inside spun to the inside, so his right rear crossed the line before the right rear of the other car, even though the other side of the car was clearly across the line. Still going to go by your stupid transponders, or are you going to use the start-finish line, which is universally understood, the person who crosses the line first, the vehicle, the part of the vehicle that crosses the line first, any part of any vehicle is the winner of a race.
I think you bring up a very good case. I don't know what to say there. I think you might. That's where you have to jump in and say, okay, this is a difference in the rules. Now, it comes down to length of the cars and the mini stocks. It really does, because you can have cars that put on a big long snout. You could run a longer snout just to get that advantage. Just to say, in a visual situation.
Yeah, I don't think you would, though.
And don't get me wrong.
Like a track and field runner doesn't carry a baton so that it crosses the line before their hand does, or whatever part of their body. I mean, there still has to be reason involved, but this is a visual sport. We're not racing computers. We're sitting in grandstands drinking beer and cheering. If you somehow ever convince me that I should cheer louder for the second place finisher because of where their transponder was, that's not the spirit and intent of our sport.
But you're driving a wedge into a very small crack here. This doesn't happen every week. This happens once in every 20 years. Do you have a finish like this where you have these situations? So it's not like it's an epidemic of these problems. And I would say back to your other scenario about cars spinning across the line. I mean, there's been situations more than once in my management career where I've had to stand up in front of the guys and say, look, I realize it says black and white this, but in this situation, that is not right. And put yourself on the other side of that situation and realize, this is wrong. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Erskine clearly won that race visually. There's no way around it. But I mean, it comes down to, if the transponder is in the exact same spot, I want to know what Doug says at that point. And of course,
yeah, for sure,
some pretty wild stuff. And of course, Doug Erskine says, "Hey, Ricky Craven beat Kurt by inches," but in NASCAR, I mean, those cars are so tight on the templates. I guarantee if we put those two cars from that mini stock finish side by side, one's going to be at least probably 6 inches longer than the other. Could be the other way around. I'm just saying, there's going to be a difference in dimensions,
And to Jeff Bedford's point, you should go back to old school. Who crosses first? That's not old school. That's always school. For the person who crosses the line first, the piece of car that crosses the line first is the winner.
Okay, so I'll let you in on what I know. At Merrittville Speedway, their line, when they put it in, went diagonally across the moat and then straight across the old humpback ridge part of the track. So I'm standing up there when I used to announce from the roof, and I think it was Brackman and somebody, and Brackman passed him came to the outside, and was clearly a situation like this, was clearly at least a bumper and a modified wheel behind the other car. And the transponder gave it to the outside car. And, I was standing with one of the higher ups there, and I looked at them and they looked at me and I said, "Did you see that?" And what happened was the transponder goes diagonally across. So my advice to you is, if you're ever in a race at Merrittville, go way to the outside. If it's close, you just might get the spot on the transponder. And that's my hot tip for you.
Hey, you got to know where you're at. Take every advantage.
So it's like playing baseball. You got to know what fence you can hit it over. So check that out. I mean, it's such a tough thing. And hey, you have to admit though, you can say gold till you want. Transponders, one-way radios have changed our sport for the better.
100%. Yep.
There are quirks and things, and you need the right people to manage these situations. I mean, if you get somebody to try and run a race monitor, not a race monitor, what am I trying to say? The transponder system, and try and run that computer system and make that work, the Orbit software, good luck. you'll be so far twisted up trying to put cars back on the lead lap and transponders that drop off, man. It takes someone really good to make that work. Yeah, go to the outside. You can hold it at Maryville. Let's talk about a couple other things. I know Doug Leonard's going to join us. He had to take Harper to soccer, I believe. So Doug will be joining us. I'm super excited to hear what he has to say about how that all came together. It had to be a tough deal for him. We definitely know that. Let's see what other topics we got. Anything else we're missing from the transponders, Adam?
No, that was fun.
All right, crowd pleaser award. Show that one, if you will, Spencer. I thought this was a cool deal. Craig Delansky at the sprint car track, I believe it was Dodge City. He's now the promoter. Dylan and car owner Miles Hill were presented with the crowd pleaser award by World of Outlaws legend and race promoter Craig Delansky for their battle on Saturday night. Adam, why I put this to the chat, I just thought it was a cool award. You're always on me as a promoter to do more cool things. I thought this was neat. It's a nice plaque. I don't think there was any cash or anything involved, but just for them to say, hey, you guys were the ones that put on the show for my fans tonight, and we appreciate it. I thought it was a cool deal. Just wanted your opinion on that.
Especially when it comes from somebody who's got, like Craig Delansky, I honor his opinion, right? The guy knows what he's looking at. He knows what he's doing. It's not a fan vote. It's not anything like that. It's this happened. You guys put on a show. Congratulations.
Yeah, I thought it was a great deal. Just going backwards. All right. So let's talk about all right, let's jump into Super Dirt Week, Adam. We'll just jump into that. Doug will be showing up soon, I think. Wow, where do we start with that? Track conditions. I have Anthems. I have the finish with Dipple and Peter Britton. We've got, these are all things just on my list. Keith Flack, their situation on the way home. So many different things,
Yep.
Adam. Where do we start?
I think we start with track conditions. Let's save Peter Britton and Tyler Dipple for when Doug is here. But track conditions, and this is something that I sent to you. When we talk about track conditions, you have to think of it from the standpoint of a fan, from a racer, and then from a race organizer. So which angle do you want to approach first, Clint?
I mean, there's so many different ways, and here Doug just joining us now is perfect timing. Well, first off, Spencer, show the pictures of the track conditions. And let's start off with the Eric Rudolph wreck, Adam. I think that was the first time we probably knew in the week that we have a problem here. So, Spencer, show either the Rudolph wreck or the pictures or all of them if you can. Adam, I'll take it from whatever side you want. So this is dirt placed down on Oswego. These are obviously probably the goriest pictures anybody could find as they were trying to beat down the World Racing Group in their efforts. But wow, that's just the reality of trying to take a big block modified through these gaps. Just insane pictures and what the drivers must have felt trying to go through this. Wow. Comments on that, Adam?
Do you have only that everybody in the racing community knew after the first day the cars were on the track that this is what the track was going to be this year. Same with the way it was in the first year. For that reason, I don't want to hear about any team owners, drivers, crew people, drivers' wives, girlfriends complain about the safety of the conditions. Load up and go home. Load up and don't go home. Load up and drink beer and watch races. There are so many choices racers have. Race organizers have a race to put on. It's not ideal. In fact, it's downright shitty. But you have a race to put on. You've got obligations. You're there to put on that show. Clinton, you know as well as anybody, what you try the hardest to do when you're putting on an event is not screw it up. You try to plan for everything. You try to make things run as smoothly as possible. You try to execute as smoothly as possible because you don't want to get to race day and have this sort of situation pop up. This situation surprised nobody. I don't want to hear anybody bitch about the track conditions. Go home. You were there, go to a different facility. Go do something else. If you're a racer. If you're a fan, yeah, you've got the right to complain. You paid your money. If you're a race organizer, you're possibly putting out an explanation or an apology. and saying it's not going to be that way next year, just like they did the first time it happened, and they corrected the problem. They're going to correct it again.
Yeah, I think you're right on a lot of those fronts. It sucked for the teams because they're kind of stuck in the middle. If you're in the points, and like, hey, we faced the same thing with Southern Ontario Motor Speedway in our sprints. We were supposed to race there. The teams didn't feel comfortable, but they were ahead of that, and we were able to make a change it. Before we bring Doug in, that was my kind of rant, Adam. In fact, bring Doug in, Spencer. Doug can get in on this, but so my question on the rundown is, what should they have done? Everyone's saying they should do something about the conditions in racing. Like what? Like, do they just cancel and go home? There's no way World Racing Group can do that. Everybody loses there. Oswego loses. World Racing Group loses. The race teams lose. It's a huge money loss. The only thing you can do is find a way to tough your way through it. And Doug, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on after what was obviously a trying week for you. We joked about it earlier. You basically had to work triple overtime because the track conditions bring you triple cautions on a week that's already chaotic. I mean, I think you race directed 14 hours every day from my calculations, if not more, for 3 days straight. Maybe give us some perspective. We realize you have to toe the company line, but when did you guys realize you had a big problem on your hands? And what were some of the things that might have been discussed with the management group there to try and get over the situation of the track conditions, Doug?
I believe they knew on Monday. We had a ready meeting, or as we call it, on Monday to get the gang together, and it was decided at that point that they were going to cancel Tuesday and Wednesday or delay Wednesday basically. And so they knew, Jeremy Cochran knew going in that he had a little bit of some water issues on the track and needed to remove some dirt on it. I mean, those holes that you're looking at or the pictures that you put up show the holes are what was the track surface, the asphalt surface underneath, but it's not as deep as it really looked like or what it was in years past where they had feet and feet of dirt on there. I mean, those pictures showing you're basically 4 to 6 inches of dirt on there, and they took some dirt off in that, so those holes weren't there. I mean, the race cars drivers all knew about it, obviously, as you knew about Eric Rudolph's flip there that you're showing, but they all raced through it. I mean, they knew about it, and they had some issues and some discussions about it, but not one of them avoided it. They were right into that. And I mean, there were some guys that went to the top and other ones that just drove through that Baja and just going as fast as they normally would in previous years.
Now, in fairness, Brewerton Speedway was equally as bad as Oswego. In terms of a rough racetrack, I mean, it was a plowed field. And it's not an asphalt track under that dirt. It is just dirt. And it reminded me of a springtime Brewerton. I couldn't believe what those cars were going through.
Yeah, turn 1 and 2 looked a little treacherous, and that 3 and 4 looked a little bit more smoother and all that stuff. But again, I mean, they went through it. Now, the flips that we experienced on Tuesday night, we do not feel were track conditions. I mean, that was more of driver error and suspension on it. But you're very right. They had a lot of moisture leading up to this week. And I mean, when you have water on the track, we all know what track conditions can be like.
Doug, Matt Williamson alluded to it in his post-race interview that there was discussion to make it a points race or not a points race. This is something you and I talk about a lot with a lot of our divisions. Just wonder, maybe you can tell me where you stood on that fence or maybe not, and how that discussion went. When did it come up that maybe, hey, track conditions are so bad, maybe we shouldn't be making it a points race? I kind of agreed with Matt. He said if we're going to go out there and race and risk our equipment, we should be awarded points. So what were your thoughts on that situation?
We came up with Saturday's driver meeting with the 358s, and it really came to head on the Super Dirt Car Series drivers meeting that we had on Sunday morning. Larry White had brought it up. I mean, Matt backed it up. Peter Britton asked for show-up points. I mean, you kind of see both sides. One individual such as Matt Williamson, who's sitting third, fourth in points, he's going in, he's defending champion, feels confident at the racetrack and says, no, I don't want show-up points because it's a double point situation, and he's going for a point championship. Certainly Matt Shepard's like, yeah, let's do show-up points in that because his lead stays the same. I mean, Peter Britton was the one who brought it up in our meeting. And I mean, again, a driver who's had much success in the Super Dirt Car Series this year, sitting second in points, probably best results he's ever had. in this late in the season. And I mean, with 3 races left going into Sunday, I mean, he's an advocate for show up points. So you kind of see both sides on it. I mean, and Justin Harris came and said, like, when we count cautions, let's count 2 cautions for every lap. I mean, let's just get the race going. So it was quite funny at it. But at that point, I had an idea that I quickly leaned over to Dean Reynolds and said, hey, every time a caution came out, the lap counter froze at 4 and we weren't going to count more than 4. I said, let's just get rid of it. We'll count every caution and every green flag lap. And we put it out to the teams and they were all for that. So it might've robbed the fans a little bit, but at the same point, it turned around and helped the racers. They felt a little more confident with it because they knew every lap would count. I mean, I expressed to them that it was up to them to get into line a lot quicker than what they were doing at the 358 race so that there would be more green flag laps. But in the end, it all worked out.
I think the fans definitely got their excitement worth, Adam.
Yeah, I think they did. You know what I was most bummed out by the whole week was the Pro Stock race. Because I always look forward to the Pro Stock race, and they couldn't get it together. They couldn't string together any laps. And just for nostalgia, I thought, man, that sucks. Those guys always save the show. But there were good moments. I found it exciting. I enjoyed it.
I mean, over 100 sportsmen with no Canadians I was wowed by that. I think the final count was 101. I mean, and you do the quick math, you probably 20 Canadian drivers would have came down. I mean, from the Merivale, Humberstone area, and then certainly out with Cornwall and Brockville into Quebec. I mean, so certainly going into the 50th anniversary, the sportsman division is going to be astronomical, I believe.
No, it should be good. Should be good. Let's. Oh, did you want to go on with that, Clint? I wasn't.
No,
I wanted to get to the incident. I just want to see the incident and talk. I haven't watched yet. I've only read what was put on the interwebs. That
the Peter Britton Dipple incident.
Yeah, Tyler Dipshit put him in the wall. People don't mince words.
Yeah, so let's set this up. This was late, Doug. What would you say about 20? Well, we'll know when the clip comes up. We're want to thank Dirt Vision for this clip, and when we play it, we'll watch a few minutes of it. Doug, so Tyler Dipple is closing out on Peter Britton. Britton's leading with about 25 to go, if I recall. Dipple's trying to navigate the holes on the bottom. They do make contact. Britton hits in the fence. Tyler Dipple took a big beating for this. You guys maybe took a beating for not making a call on Dipple. I watched it after, and I don't know how you could make a call. I'm not saying that because you're my buddy. I'm just thinking in those conditions, it did not look ultra dirty to me to the point that you're like have to step up and take a shot. So if you haven't seen it, Adam, maybe some of the fans haven't. This would be from the Billy Whitaker Cars 200 that Matt Williamson ultimately ends up winning. But Peter Britton's leading here with about 25 to go. Dipple's running in second, Matt Williamson in third, and they get together. So roll it, Spencer. Doug, feel free to jump in. Adam, feel free to jump in at any time. So there's Britton in the 21, leading. Tyler Dipple right behind him here as they go back into turn 3.
The Batman feeling the pressure from Tyler Dipple. He bobbles just a little bit. Dipple throws the elbow on the 21 of Britton, who's into the wall. And Britton.
Now, Spencer, can we back that up if we watch that part again a couple times? Now, to me, Adam, look where Dipple enters in on the bottom. He's running that lap, the lap before too. He's hugging that bottom. He's jumping through these holes. To me, Britton comes down a bit off of 4, and yeah, they make contact, but I don't think that Dipple, oh, you can even slow it down. Beautiful, Spencer. So look where Britton is there. Look where Britton is there. Stop it there, Spencer. So Britton is way up in the 3rd lane, let's say. Would you agree with that, Adam? He's up in the 3rd lane?
And pointed
Dipple's
the wrong
in 1.
way.
Yeah, and pointed the wrong way. So Dipple is full intent on the bottom, thinking, I'm taking the lead for 50 grand here with 25-ish to go. So just inch it ahead, Spencer, and stop it again, if you can. So keep going. Still, stop it there. So they're on exit. They're starting to get to the exit. Dipple's still clearly in the lead on the bottom, as low as you could go in lane 1, and Britton's starting to come down now. Do you still with me? Agree?
Yeah, Britton now has his car pointed down the track. Dipple through the bumps is pointed up the track. Both of them are hard on the throttle.
And both
but
bouncing through a cloud field.
Not to interrupt, go back just like half a second there and watch the rear end of Dipple's car shake. I mean, this is him this is how I called it and saw it. It's right there.
Right there.
He just hit a hole. Exactly. And that's now shoved him up. Peter's coming down. I saw it as a racing deal. Now, I understand some drivers might be upset and some teams are upset. They've made contact here. Peter Britton's going for $50,000 as well as Tyler is. Peter hadn't pitted at that time, and not that I think that had anything to do with it, but I saw that as a racing deal. Any penalty that would have came out from that would have been the end of the longest line, and in the end, they ended up both pitting at that caution.
Play it
So
again,
in a
Spencer,
sense, there's a penalty that didn't need to be handed out, but was handed out because of the end of the longest line.
I agree. You can't double penalty up. But if you look at Dipple, so obviously his reputation precedes him. He's smooth on the bottom. He hits a bump right at the same time that Britton comes down, and Britton's car takes a left there. Like, look at how far Britton is. He's clearly down in lane 1.5 when they make contact. So as bad as Dipple's been in the past and driven over guys, I don't think this was as horrible as he said. Now play it, Spencer, if you can, right when they touch. I think it might be just before this incident, but it wasn't a huge hit. Like, just let it go super slow if you can, Spence. This is amazing, by the way, that we can stop this and analyze it. So Dipple's still clearly in the bottom. Like you said, Britton's headed for the top. If I'm Dipple, I think I got every right to stick it in there. Now, hits that bump there. His car lurches. Keep going, Spencer. Right when it changes views. It's right when they kiss. Right about here. So that's all they touched. It wasn't a major hip check. It wasn't a big throw the ass end out and kick your butt into his door. They just touched wheels. You agree, Adam? Are we on the same page here?
I really do. I hate to agree with you, but that's
Spencer,
just hard racing.
Let it go, Spencer. Finish this and then play it full time once and we'll be done with it.
Now, in fairness, if this brings out a yellow, I would say that's two involved cars. But if they both pit, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Play once from the top, Spencer. We'll move on from this, but play regular speed if you can. So this is them coming through 1 and 2 onto the back straightaway. It is again in this next turns where it happens. And I think Shane's call of it kind of maybe jaded some people. Because he says, Tyler Dipple throws the elbow. And it didn't really look that wild.
I think that's fair too. I think that's fair to say. Right, like definitely, Tyler Dipple got aggressive, but you're racing for $50,000. I would expect that.
A lot of talk there. Obviously, Britton was unhappy. It was pretty wild though. Craziness, Doug. Could you ever imagine Dirt Week would have gotten that wild?
I mean, you get that. I mean, it's part of the job. You're going to have some really good ones and you're going to have some bad ones. I mean, you got to take them with the good and take them with the bad.
Adam, you and I have some other personal things about the thing. I just don't know if we need Doug here for those or if we should fight with them later.
Let's talk transponders. Ask Doug about transponders.
So you probably didn't see it earlier, Doug. There was a finish at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. It's a 1-minute clip. Roll it now, Spencer. Let us talk over it.
Don't talk. Doug, watch this race. Tell us who wins.
Oh, I'm just going to set it up because it's hard to jump in.
Don't set it up. It's a freaking race. You can see where the start-finish line is. He's a race director. He's familiar. Say, who wins this race?
You're terrible at telling the story. Go ahead.
In the final laps here, one more time around the track. Bulliu can't even say the name anymore. Amped up, 747, trying to hold on. Erskine with a move to the inside. Can't get it done. Down the backstretch they go. Erskine to the outside will be a bonsai move through 3 and 4 to see if he can get it done. This one's going to come right down to the wire, but it will be the...
Who go by that? I go by the 64.
See, said by a veteran race director. If you go by that, but they went by transponders, and it was the inside car got the win over Erskine.
And that's what it is. You got to remember. So we had an incident on time trials We had a race car driver that had a inoperable transponder, so they gave him a backup, and he put that backup transponder in his pocket. And on a modified, they're supposed to be mounted over the right rear tire. But it didn't matter because it's time trials. So the transponder started his time trials and the transponder ended his time trials. It didn't matter where it is on it. Now, at Merrittville, I know I caught in at the late part of it. Merrittville's transponder line is at the proper location where it's back so far that when you measure to the nose of the car, it is at the line. Now, what is the unofficial or official line at a dirt track race? There
That's
isn't
not
one.
the question, Doug.
There isn't.
The question Adam's trying to say is,
but where I'm going with this is the wherever the loop is at the time, that's what starts the race and that's what ends the race. So as long as those transponders are in the right location, if those transponders are in the right location, then in the inside car was it, then that's it. But I'm looking at that where I think the line should be, and yes, it looked like the 64-1.
Let me ask the question for Adam. If the transponder is in the exact location, who wins that race? Because you're in a conundrum there. The transponder says that the 67 won, but the 64 visually won that race. Okay, let me put it this way, Doug. If that happens at Oshweekend and the 64 is visually out front, but the transponders are in the right location, the finish is going to stand every time.
No, it
the
couldn't
67
happen.
would win.
Yeah, if the transponders were in the right location, the 64 would have been scored the winner. 64 was like, nobody can say the 64 was not ahead. The 64 was ahead. And if pre-tech was done properly, the transponders are in the same spot. If the transponders are in the right spot, the computer is not going to tell you the other car won. The computer is going to tell you the 64 car won.
But hang on, here's the thing. So on a mini stock, those transponders are mounted at the rear of the car.
Yes.
So, and they're not all the same length. Like, I get it.
Right. But if the loop is back 4 feet from where we think the line is, then yeah, you're right. The 64 will win. Now let's go to a sprint car where they're mounted at the right front tire. So visually, so much could happen if that loop went 4 feet back from the start-finish line to the start-finish line. That's why you got to take it by the line. So wherever their loop is, that's what started the race and that's what ended the race. And if the 67's ahead at that time at the loop, then the 67's the winner. You can't go by what visually happens at the line.
Yeah, and I see Adam's point too, but how at Oshweekend and anything Doug and I are going to be involved in managing, the first thing we're going to do when it's even close is measure the transponder location in tech, right, Doug? I've explained that multiple times. You've called for cars to be brought to tech so we can make sure the transponder's in the right spot when it's close, even for third or fourth, fifth place, whatever it may be. Now, with that being said, if the transponders are in the exact proper location, 18 inches back from the center of the axle, no matter what it says visually, we're going off the transponders.
That's correct.
And Adam won't like it.
I will. I'll express my opinion, and away we go.
But like I said, this is also a 1 in a 25-year problem. You know, this doesn't happen every week. It's a once in a lifetime situation.
No, but go back to that. And what was the difference at where we think the line is? What was the measurement difference between the 67 and the 64? So this is what I've asked a starter. Where's your start finish line? Some say to the left of their stand, some say in the middle of their stand, some say to the right of their stand. I mean, so much can happen in that 4 foot, 5 foot stand.
Most paved tracks have a painted finish line.
Painted finish,
right? So
exactly.
you've got a visual to work from where you can easily have dirt tracks don't have a finish line. They've got a flag stand and a flagger.
Right.
And we all know that that's about where the start, but it's not a painted definitive line.
You can paint a line on it. It's going to be on the inside wall where no fan's going to see it from the grandstand.
Yeah, we've talked about putting a stripe at Oshweekend on the new concrete, but you're right. Their drivers will see it. The fans may be able to see if they're right near it, but certainly not perfect. Doug, let's jump into another topic.
Go ahead.
Anything else you want to go over with Dirt Week with Doug, Adam?
No, just congratulations for getting down there. And I caught heck from a couple of friends saying, "Hey, there's Canadians here. Why aren't you here?" I said, "Well, yeah, they're working there. I mean, I'd like to be there, but you had to jump through a couple of hoops to get there, and someone had to spend some money."
Yeah, I mean, certainly needed 72 hours. We needed a negative test, and then the negative test down there, which was a little hectic. I mean, certainly went Saturday morning to go get the test done, and they told me I'd have results by Saturday afternoon or even Sunday morning, and didn't. I mean, flying out yesterday morning and still didn't have them. So quick stop at the urgent care to go get them at 8 o'clock. First one in line, got them, and then ran to the airport to catch my flight home.
And I'm gonna bring something up, guys. Julie Martin just made a comment that the tech really pisses her off. They always make sure the favorites squeak through. And I will say this, even though Doug, you and Clint probably agree mostly, and I'll disagree from time to time, but we can sit here and have the most raucous fight about whatever we want. But I will say this, there's no such thing as a favorite when it comes to the tracks you officiate at and the way things are done at Ashweekon on a Friday night. I mean, the credibility is top shelf. So even if we don't agree on everything, I don't think it's because there's a favorite getting preferential treatment. They're well officiated races.
I had the conversation with Matt Williamson even on the weekend. I mean, Canadian kid, local boy, a kid that, I mean, we all grew up with. I mean, certainly love to see his success on the Super Dirt Car Series, 2-time Super Dirt Week champion. I mean, go over and congratulate him, and first thing he had out of his mouth was, he's like, "I know we've had our differences, but I really appreciate that." I mean, there you go. I've made many calls on a local kid. I mean, you can't tell me there's any favorites in that all. I don't care who it is. I'll turf anyone.
Yep.
You know, I've defended Doug's honor a lot over the years too, because you build up enemies. Some guys don't love the head official, and most of my things too have been most of the beefs you got with guys, Doug, were when you were a rookie 10, 15 years ago. You've come a long way since then, done a million races since these guys are pissed off about a call from, 99 or something. It's ridiculous. So, and no, I think, it was good to see our guys do well. I think we look at down there and I'm proud of seeing you, at the top of your game down there too. Is, you've conquered it just as much as they have in your game. You're top of the top shelf, running it also. So that's cool for us to see. Many nights, I saw you take as many laps as you could over the weekend. I'm not going to bullshit there. There was every time they come around, my dad's like, "Getting a complete restart." I'm like, Doug's putting every lap on the board he can this weekend and getting the hell out of there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had Eric Grigsby, who is the World Outlaw late model race director. He was head of scoring with Haas and Swamp, and I mean, we worked it out. And I've just asked all the officials if they see anything, is don't call a yellow, just tell me where it is so I can identify it. So whether it be turn 2, turn 3, and once I put eyes on it and see it, then it's just a matter of going to find the leader. I mean, there's many times that I'd have a car rolling down the back straightaway and, I mean, feel I'm safe and would stay to Dave Farney, let's hold it back. We're going to take 2 or 3 here to get them across the line. Because we split score, we can do that. So hold the yellows, take them, get them across the line, and we can score it that way. It's easily to go off a transponder than go to a complete restart.
Let's move on to a generic topic, Doug. Race monitor. It's been a big beef with I know us in the broadcast world. Spencer relies on it so much to make our broadcast good. Some tracks take it seriously, some tracks don't. You've been an early proponent, and you bought into the system of the technology, whether it be My Race Pass or Race Monitor. Mike Bowman said it to me before. What's with these tracks? He goes, we're bringing our expensive $70,000 cars, and some places just flat out don't run it. I get it. But the places that do have it, a lot of them are half-assed. They work some weeks, they don't. The track don't really care about it. It was just a topic I want to bring up, Doug, because you're someone who's involved with that side of things. Adam, I wanted your thoughts on it. These guys come back, and, it was Bowman who actually said, I think it's bullshit that we put all our money in, and the teams rely on that for lap times and all kinds of other stuff. Why can't tracks just get their shit together and have Race Monitor working all the time?
They can't rely on it, Clint. I mean, it relies on the internet. I mean, we know some of these tracks are out in the country or away from where high populated areas are. I mean, because of the sound, and the internet is sketchy at some places. That's the biggest advocate, is internet's not working properly. Eric Grigsby said it perfectly in the drivers' meeting. He stepped up of every drivers' meeting and said, "Listen, I'm Eric Grigsby. I'm head of scoring. I'll be using my race pass and race monitor this week, and they are not official. If you have any questions or any concerns or want to yell at somebody for scoring, I'm your guy. So it's simply that. I mean, you cannot rely on race monitor. All race monitor is doing is assisting teams to look at their live timing and scoring, helping fans in that, but it is certainly not official.
Yeah, it's an accessory. You've got to remember what officials do and what tech does and what accessories people use, right? And that's what that is. But it's a valuable tool, and I'll give a lot of credit to tracks that do use it. I've followed a lot of races that way, and I get put off by tracks that don't have it. I'm not going to pick on Peterborough. I'm just going to say I'm not compelled to go up to Peterborough. I just don't see the effort put in. Like, if someone doesn't want to help me stay interested in what they're doing, I've got other places I can go and spend my time.
Yeah, and who knows what their internet's like? I don't know what Peterborough's internet's like. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's the effort. I mean, I don't know. I've never been there and don't know what their timing and scoring is. I mean, but it certainly does help. I mean, I certainly not being able to cross the border up until late. I mean, watch race monitor advocacy to see who's winning the Super Car Series races when I'm not there. But knowing that they're not official, you notice that some names are missing sometimes and whatnot. But we can't. They're like you said, Adam, to assist and be an accessory to people, but they're not official.
Yeah, my beef wasn't it wasn't that's not an official tool, and it should be. I think it's just the fact, and Doug, I get it if they don't have internet, but there's been a lot of places you and I have worked over the years that have internet that just slough it off. I mean, Adam, in the last 2 seasons of broadcasting G-Force, we've been at least 8 to 10 times that places that should have the race monitor up just kind of leave it as an afterthought. So that's just tracks. If you've got it, make sure it's working every week. The teams rely on it, and not necessarily to bitch at Doug about official scoring, but to just, help them out a little bit too. Couple of things, Doug, before we let you go. Rolling wheels was a big topic. So everybody's saying, let's move the race out of Oswego. It should be other places. It should be on a place. First off, if I hear one more person suggest rolling wheels, I'm going to barf. One, is there's nowhere near enough room. 2, the racing wouldn't be much better, in my opinion. I'm just not a fan of the rolling wheels plan. I don't think it would ever work or be as good. And to me, I never loved rolling wheels. I must be the one guy who didn't fall in love with that place. I don't know why. I just don't think that's the answer. Even in its heyday, it is not the answer for that event. Adam, you go first.
You're right. And I love rolling wheels. Like, it's home to me. I enjoy watching races there. No, it's not the place to hold that event. You're right. Capacity is not there. The infrastructure around it is not there. No, that's just wrong.
Doug, thoughts?
You're right. I mean, the seating certainly is not the same. I mean, I've seen somebody put a post up that Oswego's 86.7 acres of land and Rolling Wheels is 86.3, and it would work that way. Certainly the pit area is not the size. I mean, I think a lot of people it's the history of Rolling Wheels. It's just been around in the heyday, and certainly the speeds, and because you don't have to put dirt down. I mean, nobody complained about the racing service in the last few years, and that means certainly the first year was a challenge and was not the greatest and all this stuff, but after that, they fixed the situation, and Adam hit it on the head. They'll fix it again. We're going to make sure the 50th anniversary is bang on. I mean, they've already started plans. I've already got messages here while we're doing this interview here, I mean, of our next meeting and that. So the plans have already started for the 50th, and we'll make sure that service is bang on.
Well, I got you on here. Let's pick on another thing. Anthems and prayers. I'm just over it at races. Oh my goodness. I'm super frustrated by having to listen to it. I get it. We all have different religions, but why do I have to listen to a prayer before we go racing? That's one beef that we don't need to rehash. But they played the American or the Australian national anthem. And I have a bit of an issue with this because I get it. Peter Britton's there. But what happens if we have somebody flying from Italy and then we have somebody flying from Ukraine? Are we going to play 10 anthems before we have the racing? And Peter Britton, it's not like it's his first time. He lives in New York State. Well, what are we doing? To me, it just didn't make any sense. And Doug, you got to toe the company line, so you should probably just zip it here unless you got something you want to say. Adam, your thoughts on this? To me, it just frustrated the hell out of me. If he wins the race, we'll play the anthem. But come on, why are we doing that at all anymore? Can you defend this action, Adam?
No, I can't. I'm tired of bad anthems. I'm tired of,
Okay.
either do it or don't. But if you're gonna do it well, and make sure you pronounce the words right. And the country, like the name of the country, is an important one to pronounce right. And I'm just talking about over the years anthems that I've listened to and endured, and if like either make it a part of the show and part of the pomp and circumstance, because if you do it half-assed, it is not impressive in the least.
Doug, you want to comment before I bash it again? Because I got more shit I'm pissed off about from the weekend. So, the other point, maybe we should let you go so you're not part of this clip when it gets shared around.
No,
Wait.
It's fine. It's fine. It's part of the opening ceremonies. They certainly did. I mean, we had a race car driver that commented that Anthony Prego is Italian and we should play the Italian anthem.
That's what I mean.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's the history that went from Syracuse that's been carried over to Oswego that even for myself, I mean, I've heard the Star Spangled Banner so many times. I think I know the words more now than I do O Canada. But when they launched the fireworks for the bombs bursting in air, I mean, it's bone chilling. I mean, it just kind of gets you going, and you're moments away from the command, and it's go time. I mean, my adrenaline gets going, the juices get going, and then when you hear the command, and I get to talk over the one-way radio to tell them to fire them up, and you hear them all, 41 cars all roar up right at your feet. It was kind of cool. So certainly I can see it, but it's a history. I mean, are you going to tell me you're never going to go to a Blue Jays game or a Raptors game or a Maple Leafs game and never hear the anthem? That's the history. I don't think you'll ever see it taken away.
No, I'll give you that. And hey, for the salute to the troops 150 with the soldiers there and the colors out, hey, the American anthem has its place. I'm questioning the Canadian for one, because really there were only 3 Canadians in the house and a few staff, but mainly the Australian anthem. Like, to me, it just seemed like around here we have lots of Canadian fans and competitors. Canadian American have been tradition. Just it seems like a great overreach for one guy to play the Australian anthem. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to be a nicer guy deserving of having an anthem played than Peter Britton. The guy's a freaking angel. Beautiful man. No doubt about it. But we don't need to hear the anthem. It's just, and I had this play with Vic those years ago at Maryville. Go ahead.
Why are you? So part of the anthem is to fill people with national pride. Why honor Australia? Why honor Canada? I mean, they used to do it because there were so many Canadians come down. There weren't many Canadians there this year. It's not about the couple of drivers. It's about half your fans in the stands. But like you say, I just tighten things up, make them more impressive. Doug's right. The bombs bursting in air is pretty damn cool. I usually enjoy it. But
hold on, I'm not done. So to jump on what Adam said earlier, do them right. They were terrible. I'm sorry. As a guy who's sung the anthem at enough events, I feel I live in a glass house, so I will gladly throw stones at this. They were horrible. Every time they sung the anthem, it was pitiful. And even it wasn't just me and Adam, and I'm like, hey, are we just being too hard, and are we being bullies here? My phone blew up with people, higher-ups, all the way down the chain saying, oh, my goodness, are you watching this? And while I'm on it, why do we need VP girls standing up there in their tights? What do they bring to the show? I don't get it. I'm like, what's the use of the 2 blondes there? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe I'm old and not sexist anymore, but
VP's a big sponsor of the event. I mean, and you
I get it.
I mean, it's and then Billy Whitaker being on the stage. Why? Because it's the Billy Whitaker 200. I mean, that's
right.
It's part of the presentation.
If VP wants to show off well-manicured ladies and their well-manicured apparel, then they should be allowed to, Clinton Geoffrey.
I get it.
That's history. That's tradition. It's ridiculous, but whatever. Makes me want to buy race gas.
I got to comment on Don Martin. He says, let a child sing it and get the crowd to help. No, that is horrible. We used to go to the Hamilton Bulldogs games, and they'd have a high school class sing it every time. It's just, no, that is not. You get a good.
They had a young girl do one of the anthems the other day, and she did it amazing. I loved it.
Okay, before we let Doug go, actually,
if they've got skill and a talent, let them do it.
my favorite story about Anthems was about 10 years ago when I was managing Humberstone. Week after week, this mom knocked on the tower and she said, hey, my daughter plays violin and she'd really love to play the anthems. And so for week after week, we're trying to blow it off like, oh no, here they come again. They're going to want to play the violin. Finally, after the fourth week, we said, okay, bring your violin next week and knock us down. Well, oh my goodness. This 8 or 10-year-old girl rocked our socks off on the violin and played like the best anthem rendition ever. I'm like, you come back every week. Fantastic. Great stuff to talk about. We appreciate everybody. We're going to go over time a few minutes. Adam, you all right with that?
It's past my bedtime, but I'll hang in. I just had to get up. I got that note of death that your battery is running low. Like, what?
Oh,
what do you mean? I forgot to plug in my computer, so I had to get up and plug myself.
Before we let Doug go, Doug, we're jumping into Cornwall had a good event this weekend. They really did a job filling the void here between, the Super Dirt Week in the States. They had 49 modified, 66 sportsmen. I think that event may be here to stay regardless, even if the border opens up again. If I'm Raymond, I'm thinking kind of like the Short Track Super Series did in the past when they got started. Well, hey, maybe we have another event that can work. I know it kind of went against what you guys were doing in the States, Doug, but still good to see Dirt Car healthy here in Canada, giving all those guys a big weekend to race for. Your thoughts on the Cornwall situation?
Well, I think it was great. Certainly if they've had success, why not keep it going? It's not everybody wants to toe down to Super Dirt Week. And there's still some guys that still want to stay home and still want to race. Look at the Brockville's Fall Nationals this weekend. All those competitors that are going to be there, there's going to be a majority of them that didn't go to Super Dirt Week or wouldn't have gone to Super Dirt Week if the border was open. It was promoted this week. At our drivers' meeting, we probably are going to have some U.S. competitors coming over. But yeah, if it's a successful event for them, for sure, keep it going.
Brockville Fall Nationals, that kicks off for us. It's the Action Sprint Tour finale Friday and Saturday, their last 2 points events. Doug, you'll be in town to race direct for us. I'll be in there to help Tim Baltz on the call to race and help you guys manage deal. We will be recording them for GeForce Light, so both Friday and Saturday will air sometime in the following week. Doug, your thoughts on Brockville and what people can expect if they've never been there before for the Brockville Fall Nationals this weekend?
Oh, it's a great event. You pull in and you see all the campers and the place is just absolutely jammed. They camp them outside of turns 3 and 4. You see them in the parking lot, and the grandstands are just absolutely packed. It doesn't matter what the weather's like. Everyone's got their winter coats on, their snow pants, and their overalls and coveralls and all stuff. But just so many cars. They've got that auxiliary pit outside the trees there that they put cars into. Looks like we've got already 21 to 22 Action Sprint Tour cars committed to coming, so should be a great event. $10,000 to win the 350 races. Yeah, there'll be a lot.
It's going to be awesome. So that'll be this weekend live at Brockville. We won't be there. We'll be catching it live with our cameras, but it'll air about a week later. Jacob Dykstra currently leads the Action Sprint Tour with 2 events left. He's got a 32-point lead on Alan Downey and 68 points on Nick Sheridan. Doug, you handle the points for us. As good as Jacob Dykstra's been, he definitely doesn't have it locked up yet. Anything could still go wrong in 2 races.
Yeah, look at his last results. Unfortunately, we started 26th. He finished 25th. I accidentally messed up and didn't have him in the points, and I put it out there, and he lost the lead. And he messaged me. He's like, "Wait a second, I should have more points." And I looked, and because we started those 26, I had to put him back in and gave him 30 starting points in that. But you're right. It closed the gap. Alan Downey's been consistently in the top 5, and if Jacob should slip up, and that it's going to close up drastically. These 2 events should be really cool. It's a bull ring at Brockville, and anything can happen.
Adam, your thoughts on this final weekend for the Sprint Tour? It's been great for the crates. I think it continues to grow.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Great racing, great support from the teams. Really exciting to see it growing in the eastern end of the province. So no, it's really cool.
Yeah, we're excited about this weekend. So I don't know. I think we covered most of the topics. Adam, anything else you want to get to?
I don't think so, man. It's just things are winding down. There's a little bit left to go. We're almost to the finish line. So enjoy what you can, folks. And it's been a pleasure being here every week. And we're going to keep this up as long as we can stand each other.
It's getting harder every week, buddy. It's getting harder every week.
How many years?
Let's talk.
How many years has it been? You guys have been buddies and worst enemies at the same time.
Hold on. Don't answer. Spencer, put up that picture.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It would be from 90. This picture is probably 1999.
Good Lord.
I know. Where's Lloyd Wilson there?
Is this your dual
God,
airbag stuff?
Shit.
That was just back in the day as the voices of Ashwegan Speedway.
Yeah, that would have been 25, 3, 4-ish years ago, probably.
Yeah, give or take.
Wow.
And Clint, you look so much like your brother. Like, I think you look more like your brother than you look like you.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. Yeah. I said that same thing to my wife, Christine. I was like, wow, I look like Mikey in that picture. You know.
And Adam Ross is tripled, man.
Yeah, exactly.
See, you can throw stones now.
Yeah.
Dougie's all slim.
I'll get there one day.
Anyways, Doug, we'll see you this weekend. Doug will be down there officiating. Are you running any of the dirt week stuff, dirt classes too, Doug, or just for the sprint cars?
No, that's Mike Kelly's job. I mean, he does a phenomenal job at Brockville. I mean, I'm there certainly to assist him. I believe Dean Reynolds is going to say he's going to try to come across as well to be there for presence and all stuff. But my main intention is just to go to help with the Action Sprint Tour. From there, I end at Flamboro's got our enduro race the following week, and then a couple weeks off or a week off, and then we fly down to the World Finals, and then we call it a season.
Right on. Hey, I'm just going to throw it out there. We ended up with an extra hotel room, so if anybody's going to Brockville needs a hotel room, it's going to go fast. Send me a message. We'll make sure you get it so our buddy doesn't get stuck with it, and we will work it out. Other than that, thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. Thanks, everybody, for joining Adam and I again for another good week. It's been fun. We will be coming at you. Spencer, what's our next light broadcast? I guess it would be Frosttoberfest and Peterborough are in the can. So they'll be coming out shortly here in the next few days. Watch for some notices. And we should be iRacing again before long. We don't have a solid plan, but I'm knowing time to dust off the rig almost and get back at it.
And Julie, we'll bring up that question early in the night, next Tuesday night, and we'll chat about that.
I'm going to add that to our rundown for next week right now. Julie's asking she would love advice from G-Force on how to get new sponsorship for next year so every race can be completed. We can definitely help you out and put you in some great spots. Adam used to run seminars on all that, so we'll fix you up. Thanks, Doug, for your time, man. We appreciate your 45 minutes with us tonight. I know it was a trying week for you. It's always great that we can reach right to the tower and get your opinion. Eve of Destruction coming up this week. Frosttoberfest on Saturday at Flamborough. We've got the Brockville Fall Nationals at Brockville. What else am I missing? There's got to be more out there. Go check it out.
I don't know. That's a long freaking goodbye, though.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you guys.